Wow, just listen to that. It's Pod-gressionD.
Hey guys, you're listening to the first episode of Pod-gressionD, the Pod-gressionD podcast. I'm Eric.
I'm Hosen.
I'm Nick.
And I'm Evan.
This is our first time doing a podcast. This is cool. There's
great.
a lot of really good podcasts out there. There's Roll Life, Scared 2, Driving While Awesome, and I feel like I've been listening to a lot recently.
Yeah.
And every time we have a phone call, I feel like we should be recording it. So I think that was kind of the idea for me.
And we can go with the flow from there. But every time we get together, we're just actually kind of rare. It's probably like once a month kind of thing.
Maybe once a month.
Maybe
Yeah,
even.
best we record every instance of it.
Yeah, I think
if-
documenting it is probably the move since
And
it's
if
so
we can
rare.
take like a little bit of time and just sit down and just record one of these, might as well. So
Yeah, this is good stuff. So
It'll be fun.
thanks for listening to us ramble for a little bit.
So who are we?
Yeah, some people that might be listening to this maybe haven't seen the channel, so we'll kind of run down who we are and what we drive.
Yep. So I drive a 1985 Toyota Corolla GTS. What do you drive, Eric?
This is a really this group has a lot of different cars. That's what's so great about us. I drive a 1986 Toyota Corolla SR5 converted to GTS.
Ooh, fancy.
Yeah, I know. Nick, how about you?
I drive a 1984 SR5 Corolla.
Awesome.
That's amazing. Wow.
It's powered by a Beams 3 SGE engine.
And what is that originally from?
The car I should be driving, which is an IS. No, it's not. It's an RS 200.
And Evan, how about you?
I don't currently drive it yet, but I have a 1985. You guessed it, Corolla GTS.
Wait, what year are you, Hosen?
85.
Oh, I thought we had all 4 years.
That would be hilarious.
Yeah.
That would have been great. We need to find.
No, but that would mean that one of us would have a Koki, which we don't. We're all
Oh, no, I
Hollow.
have a Koki. I'm late '86.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
The coupe was '87. So.
Wow, look
Yeah.
at you.
Oh yeah, I guess. Oh, I don't know what the the gray coupe was. I don't know what the red coupe is. That might be.
Isn't that
Interesting.
late 85?
Oh yeah, that is
late
that's
85.
Zenki. So we all drive AE86s. That's
Kinda.
kind of the
Yeah.
We all drive or aspire to drive AE86s. We all own AE86s.
We all
Yes,
have
we all
There
own
we
them.
go.
That's yeah.
So that's kind of what brought us together in the first place. So, Hosen, what got you into AE86s? I feel like we all have a different reason for getting into them.
That's a good one. So I guess growing up, I've always really liked cars in general, and then I got into the whole idea of like starting drifting and all of that. So actually, originally, I wanted a 240, maybe an S13, maybe an S14. But at the time, like being a 13, 14-year-old, looking at all the prices, it just seemed so unreachable. Then the idea came around, let's try looking at AEs, because at the time they were a lot cheaper. And doing some research, back then I was on the Club 4AG forum, like just lurking. I realized this is becoming a very viable option. And the more I learned about it, the more I liked it. And I think what really sealed the deal was, this was back in Hong Kong. I saw one. It was a JDM. It was a GTV. I remember it was a silver and blue that drove by me, and I was completely starstruck. I was like, "Holy shit, that's the coolest thing I've ever seen!" And now I really want one.
The silver and blue is an awesome color,
Oh,
too.
yeah,
That's like
yeah.
one of the coolest OEM schemes.
So from then, I was like, "Okay, I'm just gonna save up, and it's just gonna be my goal." So, yeah, that's what got me started into the whole Corolla life thing.
That's a more that's a better reason than me. I got into 86s for the reason, cars in general, for the probably the most hated reason in the 86 community. I didn't care about cars at all until like 2014 when Netflix put Initial D on their streaming service, and I was like, oh, it's the car anime. And I think I watched that in July. I realized one of my friends had an 86 in August, and I owned an 86 by November.
That's
So,
crazy.
Talk
about the turn of events, huh?
Yeah, and I got into cars because of Initial D, not even just 86s. And I mean, and that's like, in 2014. It's not like I was 10 years old watching Initial D. I just way late to the game.
Yep.
How about you, Nick?
My fascination with this car actually started it was about 2011 when I was at UTI. I went there for auto mechanic school, tech school, and everybody I was friends with, they were actually a lot of Volkswagen guys. One day, right before we went into the Super Street class, which was like a tuning class, we did like Honda stuff, whatnot. We got calendars, and in the calendar there was a bunch of tuners and stuff, and there was S13s, there was an S14, and there was an 8.6. I don't remember whose 8.6 it was, actually. I wish I still had that calendar because it was pretty tight. But I saw the S13 and the 14, and that's the car I was like, I want to get that car. That, I think it was the 13 I saw. It was a hatch, or no, it was a coupe. I'm sorry. It was like a gold coupe, and it had like a silver two-tone and just a bunch of stickers on it. And I was like, that's really sick. And I didn't know anything about drifting at the time either. But then the more I looked at the 8.6, which was a couple pages either down or before it, I was like, that car's really cool looking too. Like, I didn't know what it was about it. So talking with my one friend Sean about it, he's like, or not Sean. No, it was Sean Mirth, actually. I believe he's still in Club Loose. He said, there's an anime about it. So when I was at school, I was watching the anime, and that's when I first saw it. And I was like, if that's what this car is, basically Initial D is what pushed me to get it. But when I first saw it, I was looking at the calendar for so long. I was like, this car looks really cool, but I really like the 13. Initial D pushed me to it. But it was really that calendar that I wish I might still have somewhere. But
Calendar's a pretty obscure one. I didn't know that story.
Yeah,
I don't think I ever asked.
That was back in 2011. I didn't watch Initial D till it was definitely that same year. I don't remember I know I went late in 2011, so it was probably 2012, early, mid 2012 when we got that calendar near the middle of the school year.
Wow, yeah, I never knew that. I apparently never asked.
Yeah, I mean, basically it was Initial D that pushed me to get it. But I knew about the 8.6 from that, and I was like, damn, this is really cool. This
Yeah,
is
but
a
that's still
rear-wheel
better than me.
drive
You
car.
were in auto tech school.
Yeah, because I was in the cars way before Initial D, way before 8.6s. I had an Evo when I was at Evo 10 when I was in auto school, and before that I had I didn't have any cars that I modified or anything, but really that's when it all started, when drifting in the 8.6.
It wasn't like you were driving the Evo in town and then this crazy car came up from behind you. Like, what could it be?
It just passed me. There's no way any 8.6 in the
that was
universe
me,
is
but I was
passing.
walking.
No 8.6 is passing my Evo 10. That's not happening.
You saw the
But I
disappearing
still-
headlights.
Yeah,
and then-
exactly.
and that was it.
And then it passed me, and then I sold it because I needed to get an 8.6.
Evan, how about you?
I can't put an actual date, unfortunately, but I remember a very vivid video in my mind from YouTube, old YouTube, probably 2008, 2009. I believe it was a Major Force car that really made me fall in love with the 8.6. It was one of the just all red on black watts, just super clean, just completely sideways. It was some 8.6 Matsuri. I wish I could pinpoint the video or when, but that really cemented that car in my mind of something that I always thought would be really super cool to own. And then of course in 2015 when I really started hanging out with Hosen and starting to work on his Lexus when we were working on that and just hanging around his 8.6, that really made me seriously fall in love with 8.6s. And I actually was pretty late to the game for Initial D, but
I'm with you there.
Yeah.
I get that. Yeah, it's
I love it. I was just a bit late to the game, but so that Initial D really had no bearing on my love for these cars. I just thought they were kind of quirky because it was a Corolla, but it was super cool at the same time. And it didn't look like it was a Corolla, but it looked like an awesome little sports car. So
I'll be honest. I'm really glad I was late to the Initial D game. I'm glad that I had a career before getting into the 8.6.
Yeah.
I saw somebody post on Facebook one time. They posted this super clean GTS, and the first comment was, "That's a super nice 8.6. Could easily delay home ownership 5 to 10 years." And I was like, "Oh my god, that's
amazing.
it's
That's exactly what it is. That's exactly what it
the
is.
most real thing I've ever seen." But it's true. They're they're addicting. They're weird cars, but
they
they're so
really
addicting.
are. It's a funky little car. It shouldn't be as cool as it is technically, on paper, but it's so when they're done right, they just drive so well.
Yeah, it's one of those cars,
and
that's
it's
just
like
more than the sum of its parts.
exactly, and it's just a lovely little car.
Which is kind of sad because I know there's some guy, like I'm not sure if you know, out in California that imports them just to tear them up and just to part them out.
Yeah.
And it's
which
it's
is really
kinda
sad, but
Yeah, that
Yeah, we
bums
should
me
go beat
out.
him up.
Yeah.
Because the thing is, like,
I don't like that
But at the
guy.
same time, I do need this part. No, I'm joking.
yeah, no,
Yeah.
I know who
Yeah.
you mean. I've messaged him for like a harness before, but I felt guilty about it. But,
Exactly.
Yeah, it's one of those things. It's like it sucks when they get torn apart when they're clean because it's like it's not like a 911 that was a sports car when you bought it and it was treated like a Porsche and now it's still treated like a Porsche. Like these cars were bought as Toyota Corollas and treated as such, which is like a like how would you
car
an
live
economy
in.
car.
Yeah, an
It's a
economy
car
car.
you
How
would
live
you-
with
commuter.
until you need another one.
yeah how would
commuter
you
that
treat,
was
how would you treat a
driven
2014 Toyota Corolla?
I think
Like,
all of our cars are easily over 180,000 miles. All of them.
oh yeah
My
Easily.
odometer had 165 on it, and it still does because it broke. That's when my motor blew, and then I put the new motor and trans in it, and I can't,
all
change
right,
it anymore. So
easily
165
over
something.
160,000
yeah
on
these,
all of our cars.
all these cars
so.
have pretty storied histories.
Yeah.
Yep.
to say the least.
I don't think I've seen a low mileage one ever.
I haven't
So,
either. It's
Those are
just-
unicorns.
Yeah. So we all drive or have 860s, and none of them are very stock. Everybody has a kind of different history with their Corollas, whether they're on their first or their fourth. I wish
boy.
that wasn't the case. Is everybody else in their first?
Yep.
Yeah.
did I
Yep.
just-
Yeah.
okay,
My very
yep.
first still.
Yes.
Yeah.
5
I
years
believe
strong.
so.
It was almost second with you, but
1.5.
no,
Oh, true. Oh, yeah.
almost
okay.
second.
Let's hear
Well,
what's your
that
what's
for
your,
later,
what's
but
your
anyways.
Corolla history? Like,
So-
what's the deal with your car?
Okay, my car. It was indeed my first car. So I got it as it was down in Miami. I was looking all over New York area because I was still studying here at the time, and I had a few potential like hits, but nothing that ever bit. So I remember looking at Craigslist Miami because my buddy was based down there, and I was like, huh. This clean GTS for $5,000. It's white and it's a drift car. Came up literally that night, and I was looking at it in the morning, and so I hit up my friend. I was like, "Hey, this could be a viable option," and he was like, "Yeah, you should do it." I was like, "Yeah, maybe I should do it." Before I know it, I called the guy, and it's like, "Yeah, we can arrange something." So my buddy went and checked it out. Before I knew it, I was down in Miami, and I had bought it. And I was like, "Oh crap! What did I just do?" I didn't really know too much back then. So it was just I looked at it. He took me for a drive. He was flooring it. And I was like, "Okay, it seems healthy enough, quote unquote." And I bought it and flew back home. I had it shipped over, and it was in my aunt's driveway. And yeah, that's the story how it is. So of how I got it. First order of business, it was a shit box, like drift car, torn up, like interior stripped and all that. So first thing I did was send it out to paint. Obviously, this is the first thing you should do. No, don't do that. But anyways, it still has that fresh coat of paint. It's been clean all these years. I try to keep it in top condition, and yeah, it's paid off well. Second of all, I just I did a refresh, and I with the paint, I did like all the exterior stuff. So I did the Koki bumpers. In fact, this was like 2014. So I was on the last batch of the fresh Koki bumpers that they were selling. And this was like a year after they discontinued. So
That's amazing. I remember
Yeah.
trying to get
Yeah,
my,
I
like,
did.
it was
I
like,
didn't even know
it was
that.
like around $400, which back
Oh
then
my
sounded
God.
really expensive, but now it's like really cheap. But anyways, yeah, after that I did it snowballed. So I did the suspension, and then that winter I did the swap. So I met a few guys and they helped me out. And the swap was kind of costly. It was like around like $4,000-ish, with the motor and the labor and all that.
Yeah.
But it's solid, and
and that was swap 20 valve with
swap 20
ITBs.
valve ITBs.
Running with ITBs, that's pretty damn good.
Yeah, and it's just been solid, and it from then on it was just like little things here and there.
And like maintenance, which we've done.
Maintenance,
So-
whatever broke I fixed. Transmission blew up on me.
And preventative maintenance and stuff.
And
that's
I
all.
was able to find I met this guy who was able to find me a TRD close ratio set that was already installed in this transmission. I bought
amazing.
In fact, it was actually the guy you found.
Oh yeah, why?
Why?
He has
This-
a shop in Brooklyn.
This
That,
little, well, not really little, but this guy who's just like a hole in the wall kind of thing. Yeah.
yeah, Ace Tech Auto 2 in Brooklyn. It's just this like little shop that works on a bunch of Japanese cars, but
The owner is like a huge Corolla nut as well.
he's had like 10 of them, I think.
I think
It's
seven.
7? Okay, it's
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Yeah. So, what about you, Eric?
I have an unfortunately storied history with the 8.6 in my 4 years of dealing with them. I guess if I had one a year, God,
You're
that's
averaging
awful.
one per year.
Yeah, I'm averaging one per year. So the first one I bought was a 1987 coupe SR5 converted to GTS. Kind of shoddily. It wasn't like the best conversion in the world, but it was running. I didn't know the first thing about cars in general, but especially the 8.6 when we picked that up. The first time, I think maybe it was the first time or second time I ever met you, Nick.
I'm pretty sure it was the first time because
So, yeah,
you had
okay.
asked John if
Right, yeah.
his friend could help you with this.
And Nick and I, our mutual friend John, who you might have seen in the vlogs if you've seen those, I asked John, I was like, hey, can your friend Nick come with us to like go pick up this car? I didn't know how to drive stick at the time, so
Oh, wow.
yeah, it was just like I didn't know the first thing about cars. So we drove like 2 hours into Pennsylvania to
Yeah,
go pick up this
Lancaster,
coupe.
right?
Yeah.
Lancaster,
It was
Amish
listed
town.
for like $3,700. I emailed the guy and I was like, "Will you take 32?" And he was like, "Sure."
Yeah, we
and
met him
should've
at
been a
that
red
car.
flag.
We
It
gotta-
went down so far, so fast. But I was like, "Oh, we gotta go get it now."
Yeah.
We bought it. We drove it for about 20 minutes before the engine overheated on the way home.
And it was. I'm pretty sure it was a cold night out too.
it
Which
was a
the,
very cold night out.
It was the first red flag.
Yeah, all the coolant had leaked out.
Yeah.
The rest of like the 2-hour drive home became like a 3.5 hour.
Yeah, I remember we
drive.
stopped at that parking lot where there was supposed to be. We needed a gallon of water or something just to get you home, and
just
like
anything.
we stopped in like this Indian restaurant to see if we could get food and water, and they were just like, no.
Yep, wouldn't give us anything. They were
So.
closing and just wouldn't sell us a bottle of water. So had to. It was a mess. It was
Yeah.
an annoying way to get home, but I was still so hyped. But I
Oh,
remember
yeah.
like I knew nothing about buying a used car. I remember getting back to the garage. Our friend Vince was there, and he was like, "How many miles does it have on it?" And that's when it occurred to me I had not even looked at the odometer.
Yep.
I was
The
just
excitement is
hyped.
real. Yep.
Yeah, I was so hyped.
To be honest, I didn't even care about my odometer
Same.
reading.
Same,
Well, it's a
100% same.
Corolla.
Yeah.
You expect it to be high.
I'm not buying a car that's in good shape. I'm buying a car that I want because of what it looks like.
At that age, it's like if you expect it to break, well, if it would have broken already.
So it's
Yeah.
it's one of those things. But the coupe was pretty good its whole life. It always had wiring issues because I had the stereo installed at White Dot Stereos. It's an ice cream / car stereo shop. And
That's amazing.
That sounds very.
I didn't
Jersey.
even know that.
it was crazy. You couldn't have
Is that place on 206?
Yeah,
Yeah, it's right on the corner. I know
Yeah.
exactly where that is. It's so funny.
So I had the Mishi dual electric fans. If you had the fans and the headlights on at the same time, you couldn't have the stereo volume over 20, or the car would cut out.
Yep.
No.
Yeah.
That's great.
What
So-
kind of bullshit is that?
I don't know.
White
It was
dot
crazy.
bullshit.
Oh my god.
Yeah, and that car just went.
How many? Oh, wait, just a real quick. How did you figure that out?
Just by like, I was listening to music, turn the fans on, it was nighttime, and then everything cut out, and I realized like it would work, but only if I was not listening to music. So then I started testing the theory. I'm like, what if I'm like quietly listening to music, and that worked. So
Oh my
Okay.
gosh.
that's how I got around for a minute.
That's amazing.
But that car went through like the standard upgrades.
That car went through a lot of
It went-
standard
it
upgrades,
went-
Eric.
it
we
went-
did a lot.
I was kind of like a preventative maintenance freak where I was like, anything that is broken might break or is made of a material from Earth because it's capable of breaking, we need to replace. With this like crazy attempt to just replace everything about the car. And we did. We did a lot. And then on I think I probably drove that car in the like 2 years I owned it, maybe.
As
like-
many times as I did.
Yeah, I probably drove it like 1,500 miles.
Definitely
Not
more
enough.
than me, maybe.
I did one Club Loose drift event in the rain, and then I did my second Club Loose drift event and just took a terrible line on the first turn and flipped the car over.
And that was the first time I met you.
Yep, and that was the first time I met Evan. So yeah, that was that was a rough start
was
to
devastating.
Yeah, that was
Corollas.
devastating.
Yeah, it was. I'm almost positive we joked about it. Like, it's not like you're gonna flip the car. Like, your car will be fine. Just just do your thing.
And I'll come back to the flip and like really talk about how that affected everything from there on out as far as like my Corolla life is concerned. But
What's really weird is I remember that day, that Club Loose event, it was on September the 11th.
Yeah, it was
It was.
Freedom
Yeah.
Moves. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
that was a
And Hosen was right next to me when you called me and said, I flipped. And I said, yeah, no, we're here in the pits. Come back. He's like, no, I flipped. I'm like, yeah, no, I'm right next to Hosen. We're here. Come back. No, I flipped the car.
yeah, because I remember I like texted Hosen and said I totaled it, and then he texted back tube front, LOL, and I was like, no, not tube front. Tube
Yeah, because
everything.
I thought he
Yeah.
was joking.
Yeah. No, I didn't.
'Cause
He didn't sound serious.
yeah.
He didn't sound like someone who just did, an
Yeah.
inverted 360.
And then I guess reality really hit when it was like, hey, where's Eric? He's not coming back. The session's like people are like pulling into pits and no one's coming out.
Yeah.
And we're like, where is Eric? And
Yeah,
then
that was-
the reality kind of soaked in. and
that
it
was real. That the car really,
it was pretty bad.
yeah, it got messed up.
You
But
were extremely lucky on how it landed, though.
I was extremely lucky, and also just
More
like
than just
the
how it landed,
adrenaline
but
was
yeah.
pumping. Like
Yeah.
I think I like.
I remember talking to you. You were like really hyper, but like very
it's adrenaline.
positive.
Yeah.
And I was like
Yeah.
I was very worried for you.
Yeah,
especially after just meeting you.
That's how like a psychopath.
Yeah.
I was surprised you talked to me again. It was probably like just buzzing the weird
Yeah.
vibe.
No, we need to take a moment and really appreciate that nothing happened to you and you walked out.
Yeah, no,
unscathed
100%.
out of
Because
That
the
was,
it
that was
it-
a
it-
cageless
that
car.
is something
it landed
you
on
really
the
need to
passenger
appreciate.
side.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
if it would have landed on the driver's side, that would
Had that been
really
a
bad.
left-hand corner, you would have your car would have landed in the worst possible spot.
Yeah, that would have been it. That
If
was,
you're lucky that you weren't allowed to have a passenger.
yeah,
as well.
yeah,
Yes.
very.
Yeah,
that was
yeah,
a,
that's
that was a
truly.
super lucky crash. Yeah, there was definitely like a moment after that where I was like, all right, well, I just spent like 2 years subjecting like Nick and company to building this car with me. I spent a bunch of money. Am I really going to do this again? And the answer was almost immediately yes.
Yep.
Yep.
I was working in California like a month later, and just for a travel shoot, and picked up a really clean hatchback SR5 GTS conversion.
Was that
again.
really a month later?
It was.
It was.
So I flipped in September. I picked it up in October. Yeah.
No way.
And then-
Why do I
yeah.
feel like there was a year between when
No,
you got
no,
it?
there was
No.
like no gap.
That's crazy.
It was like
Yeah.
really quick. I remember.
And I
know what?
remember when it first arrived, like a little bit after was when I came down to Vineland for the first time, and met Nick, and we started working on it. We started
Yep.
tearing it apart.
It was actually less than a month because so
That was November.
September 11th is when I crashed it. I remember calling the person who I was working for the next day, and I was like, "Hey, I can't work tomorrow. I just like crashed my car. I feel like I might be like kind of sore, bruised up tomorrow." And then I worked 5 days straight for that production, and then I flew to LA 2 days later to
Yeah.
finish that production out, and that was when I bought the car.
It just seems like there was such a gap, but it really
Yeah.
was. It's just how fast time has gone by working on these cars. It is out of this. It really
It's
is.
crazy. So
Really
I
is.
bought my second Corolla at that point, SR5 hatch, converted to GTS, but with a blown engine. I shipped that home to New Jersey, and we kind of started trying to put all of the coupes parts into the hatch,
Yep.
which has now been done successfully.
Indeed.
And within this time, I ended up buying 11 hatch with a cage in it. It's
That-
just a
Yeah.
shell, and now it's for sale because I don't want to do anything with it.
Yep.
An
And-
ex-SCCA rally car at that, too.
It's a really cool car.
We
Yeah, very
we found it. Well, Eric found it on Craigslist. It had the greatest line I've ever seen in a
Yes.
Craigslist ad in my life.
The floor pan has hit everything but the lottery.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's so good. And I mean,
The-
the floor pan is like just
It's
smooth as butter.
yeah.
It's just
Yep.
flat.
The guy
He's hilarious.
Is one hilarious, two is like super eccentric and was an ex-rally guy and has like this insane collection of really eclectic rally cars.
Just in the woods, in
and
the middle of
like
nowhere.
super cool too.
So
and
now
in
that-
middle of New Hampshire, nowhere.
It was wild. So now that 11's for
Yeah.
sale, I'm not going to build it out. But I'm glad we went up. That was
Oh,
really
yeah.
cool
Yeah, it
to
was
see
really
this,
fun
like,
trip.
rally
I mean,
collection.
we all have the idea of like what we could build into, what we'd like to build it into,
Yeah.
but reality strikes. We don't really have the time.
Yeah, we almost transferred owners over to Hosen, almost, but
Yeah.
then
It just
something else recently came
yeah.
up. Something else good recently came up,
Yeah,
so
so
we don't have the space.
didn't make
But-
sense right now.
Yeah.
But that was going to be my drift car. decided I don't really have time to build that out. So the new idea was what I went through with, which was buy a clean GTS coupe, and that is pretty much going to get the absolute basics.
It's already pretty much got it.
Yeah, it's a running, driving, awesome car. It's like,
LSD, bucket seat, wheel.
yep.
Cage.
needs no
cage,
work.
The cage and the harness.
Yeah,
Cage and
a
harnesses.
cage is like
Yeah,
that's
that's
Cage
the
and
priority.
So this is going to be your car that you're going to use for drifting or learning to drift.
Yeah, this is going to be the drift car, so I'm hyped for that. So that's car 4 in 4 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's where I'm at. How about you, Nick?
Yeah. Are we talking about car? Because Hosen started by saying his first car was his 8.6, and we're just talking about 8.6 ownership. Are we talking
Yeah.
about-
You can
Yeah,
tell
yeah.
me. So
Yeah,
you're
no.
coming from an Evo.
Yeah, I mean, my first car was a Charger, a 2007
Oh,
Dodge
God.
Charger, and this was in
Amazing.
2009. And I was 18, and that's when I said, wow, I really think cars are kind of cool. I wasn't into cars until I started shopping for a car, and I was like, wait, I can flex with this? You telling me? All right, I'm 18 years old, I got to do this. I started looking up things, exhaust, little things, filters, whatnot. Realized that car was trash. A couple years later, bought my Evo. Loved that car, but because of my commute, I couldn't keep it. I was driving an hour because I was working at Mercedes-Benz in Cherry Hill. So I had to get something that was a little bit better on gas. So I sold the Evo and I bought some trash Altima. It was like 1998. It was like $2,000.
Okay.
But with the extra money, I said, oh, you know what? I wanted a Corolla when I was in school. I think I'm gonna go buy one.
Dope.
So I bought one, and I found a guy up. He was in North Jersey, in Perth Amboy, and the car looked so good when I first picked it up. I don't know what happened to it. I guess drifting happened to it. It still looks good, but all the body panels fit and everything. I've been through a lot with that car. Come to think about it, I can actually I can put it in my mind why it doesn't look like it used to. Regardless,
it looked like different good.
it was
looked
crazy. All the
stock
panels,
body good.
yeah, it was
Now
stock
it's hot.
body. Yeah, it was stock body. It came with a kit, came with coilovers, and that was it. It was SR5. So I dailied that for about 3 weeks. I was driving the hour to and the hour from work every day with it. And since it was like the first old car I'd ever owned, I didn't realize like motors could eat oil the way that this one did.
Oh boy.
So I was driving to work one morning,
a lovely
and
way to
I
put
guess
it.
I checked the oil like when I got it. I did an oil change when I got it, I should say. But apparently there was a bad leak that I didn't see because I parked it in my street. My street's like really jagged gravel, like
Yeah.
really crappy street. And I never noticed any oil spills, so I guess it was just consuming the oil rather than leaking it. And I was on the highway, and the motor started knocking, and I was like, whoa, that doesn't sound cool. And then boom, blew up on the highway.
Yikes.
So I had to get the tow, and then I had to go to work and be sad for a while. But that was kind of cool because me and, like you mentioned, our buddy Vince, it was me, him, and John really working on cars and playing with our own cars basically for a little while. So I said I'm going to put a 20 valve in it. Researched 20 valve stuffs. Thought that was it. And I said, you know what? I think I kind of want a 16 valve. I don't know why I would say that to myself. I mean, there's something about the 16 valve that I think is magical. The way you have to beat it to a pulp to make power. The way that engine, being less powerful, forces you to use the momentum of the car and stuff. And it seemed like it was a lot cheaper. It was just plug and play basically. After I looked into like all like the plumbing and stuff you have to do and this and that for the head and bashing the firewall for the 20 valve and whatnot, I said I'm gonna do 16 valve. Found a cheap 16 valve from my buddy G, who I guess I'll get on that in a while because we both have bought parts from him.
Yeah, he's got a weird shed.
He's got
of parts.
him and his father's pretty old now, but they have been collecting Corolla stuff since the early 90s. And he's older himself, but so I picked up a 16 valve from him. Didn't do anything with it because I had then found out about the Beams 3SG, and that sold me instantly. I said, you know what, that makes a little bit more power than 20 valve. The valve cover is the coolest thing I've ever seen in my life, and I love the logo Beams. 3 things that shouldn't have sold me on it, or what sold me on it.
The Beams is a pretty new swap too, right? Like, have they been doing it in Japan for a long time? Because I feel like it's
Not really.
Yeah,
In
no.
Japan, not really. See, I've had this swap done now for about 4 years.
Yeah, I that really wasn't happening.
No,
4 years
there
ago.
was-
The
there
issue
were-
was for the longest time they thought it did not fit, and it simply does
It
not.
doesn't fit. Yeah.
But some genius thought, oh, let's put spacers on the
Yeah,
subframe.
let's space the subframe or custom fabricate the mounts
Yep.
to make things, but that complicates things. And I don't. I mean, I won't talk about how much I really don't love the space subframe right now. But that's really the only way to make it fit and at least clear a hood, you know. So I went and picked up my beams for $1,500, actually $1,700 with the MAF, or $1,750, something like that. And because there was so little information at the time, I mean, I don't know at the time who had a beams in their Corolla, and if you guys want to chime in and let us know who had a beams in their Corolla about 5 years ago, that'd be cool, because I'm sure we could talk about stuff. But I had that done by a shop in North Jersey, and I'm not going to talk about this shop because they mangled my car a little bit, but they also put a beams in it and made it run. But ever since I had that beams and I just had reliability problems nonstop, I would fix one thing and then one thing would go, and I would fix one wiring thing and another thing would go, and then ultimately, you know,
It caught on fire.
ultimately it caught on fire
While we were in the shop.
While we were in the shop,
When all of us were together once.
we were all together in the
It
shop.
wasn't like a blaze.
No,
No,
but
it
there
wasn't a
was
blaze. There was an
small electrical fire
It
that
wasn't
happened
great.
randomly.
There was
and it's a good thing we were actually there.
Yes,
because if
big
that
time.
happened when no one was there, it would have been really
I know,
bad.
it's so weird. Like, we didn't touch
There
it
was
at
it
all.
was off.
No, it was
Like,
nobody was near it.
It hadn't been on at all. It was very odd.
Yeah, but regardless, I had the swap done, and it dynoed it at 145 horsepower. And I thought that was kind of weak because the beams normally puts out 160, maybe close to
Well, a lot
170 on
more
like
than that,
stock.
yeah.
Well, yeah, like on stock. I'm sorry, manifold and everything. With ITBs, you can get it close to the original production, or the horsepower numbers. But that was really low, but it still felt kind of good. Only I drove the car home from the place I had it done, and it was a 2-hour drive back to South Jersey. And my buddy Dylan was with me, and I was like, all right, we're on the highway. Let's see. And my car was not prepared. I mean, I still had the SR5 rear in my car. It was not prepared for this. Nothing happened. It was just slow, as just dogging it. In the top end, the higher revs, I was like, man, this thing really makes a crazy noise. It feels fast. It wasn't until I got it tuned that I realized my car was not running good.
Oh, boy.
Which was recently. But I drifted with it like that, and it worked in the top end. I mean, the VVTi wasn't working. It was the intake, so the actual cam gear wasn't working, which is why it dynoed so low. But enough about that. We can get on that. The beams is in the car. I did everything SR5. I pretty much converted it completely from SR5 to GTS, except the fuel lines. The fuel tank is GTS, but big deal. I figured that.
Yeah, I think
myself.
I don't think fuel lines are a big concern for anybody.
no.
I feel like that's the
A piece of metal is a line of metal is a line.
Yeah,
You
it
just
gets
gotta
enough
plumb
fuel.
it differently. Yep, I have zero problems with fuel feed or anything like that. I don't get starved or anything. So that's me and my car. It's been 5 years, and she treats me good now.
How about you, Evan?
All right. So being around these guys for the past 3 years effectively now, it was never really in my budget to buy one of these until recently. I didn't have really the space for it. I didn't have the resources to do it. I don't have any space to park it at my house. Any remotely low car will rip the front end off with my driveway because it's such a bad angle, and I don't have the room to store it. But now that I am good friends with Hosen, we have a garage space that we rent out from the most awesome guys ever, and we found our friend Paolo had a friend in Brooklyn who wanted to get rid of his 8.6 because he was too busy with work to even work on it at all. It had been sitting for, I want to say, 2 years in that spot that it was in Brooklyn, and it was probably sitting for the 2 years prior to that at a shop in Jersey that he bought it from that shop. And our friend Paolo needed some parts from it, and he was going to buy the rest of it. But then he messaged me. He's like, "Do you want to buy this car? It's really cheap. It's a full car. It's clean title. Like you can come pick it up and we can get it out of here and you'll have an 8.6. So I thought about it and I'm like, it's really not that expensive. Hosen and I split the car. It was totally doable since I was working, and we picked it up.
And the idea is like, oh, we're gonna fix it up. We're gonna work on it together.
Yeah.
And then once it's done, once you have some income, you'd buy it off of.
Yeah, so we're
it'll be
basically
your car.
we're basically like splitting the car now, and then eventually I'm gonna buy him out, which might be pretty soon actually.
Hence the 1.5 car.
Yeah,
86
1.5
is
car
iron.
reference from before, but the car was like stupid cheap for what it was, and it came.
It would be stupid to pass.
Yeah,
up.
it was.
Let's say that.
Yeah, so it was ridiculously cheap, and it came with so many parts. It came with a full 16 valve stuffed in the back of the car that was not drained of oil, full of oil. So when we flipped it on its side to like
Very
move
nice.
it dumped all over the back of the car and then out.
Well, that's rust prevention.
Yeah. So
True.
And then it made a mess of the garage floor, which was great. Seeped into the concrete. There's still a stain there.
Beautiful. Memories.
Yeah, exactly. And then what else? It came with another head. It came with another set of valve covers, another block that was machined, and another crank. And then it came, I think, with a third block or something like that, and a ton of other like small parts. So all we had to do was find fenders and headlights, really, and like the car's fully together, and like body panel wise, but yeah, what else?
I guess since you made the announcement that your car runs, we can now say that your car runs.
My
too.
car technically runs as well.
Technically.
It runs on like
Yep.
2 cylinders, so
3.5.
3.5 maybe. But we did start it about 3 weeks ago.
That's amazing.
Which
That's
is
progress
really
for it, right?
I got the car in February. It's November now, so and the car being 2 hours away from where we live, and me being extremely busy with work and school right now, it's just I don't have that much time to go work on it. But it's progress. So
Yeah, absolutely.
And-
I mean, to buy a non-running car and
Yeah.
not have it running that's super exciting.
yeah,
That's the
so
biggest- that's the biggest
and it
battle.
really doesn't need that much more in terms
Yeah.
of like mechanical stuff.
Yeah,
Like
really.
we need to redo the brakes. We need to get it really running on all 4 cylinders correctly.
And
I think
body work.
that's not even that. I think
Yeah.
it just brakes and getting it running correctly, and should be able to drive.
Yeah,
We're
exactly.
gonna, but yeah, the body work is the biggest issue with this car because we've actually found 3 previous owners of this car
Yeah,
because
yeah, they hit
this
us
car
up.
has a very like interesting history because it's been tracked its whole life from like the early 2000s with this ridiculous stripe that it has on it. It's got this silver. It's red with like this silver like offset stripe, offset stripes on the side
Yeah.
like down the whole car, and
It just makes it so recognizable.
it's extremely recognizable. Like Hosen put it on the Progression-D page, and people were messaging him like, "This was my friend's car. This was my car," and like, so it's crazy. We've met 3 previous owners. I keep them updated sometimes. One of the previous owners, it was his first car, and he's gonna buy the interior from me because he's like he started crying when he saw our video about this car, like us like removing it from its prison in Brooklyn because he didn't know where it went, and he's like so happy that someone's around like to take care of it and fix it now.
Yep.
So that made me really happy.
Yeah.
Like he like literally messaged me. He was actually physically crying because he like was so happy that someone like saved it, and he hadn't seen it in so long. He has another one now, so
I could say I would
But-
cry too if someone
Yeah.
saved my car.
yeah.
That I had. That I put
he
so much
he
love
had
and
some
effort
like
into, yeah.
amazing photos he sent to me
Oh,
of
wow.
him
Yeah.
like with his car. He called I believe Project Dream. I think it was.
Oh,
It said it
nice.
on the back window,
Oh, that's
and it was
great.
just like some really edgy like teenager photos of him like with long hair, like going like this, like just like really funny pictures. But like that's part of the history of this car, and I think it's amazing.
The thing with these
so-
cars is like I feel like we get such a close relationship and
Yeah.
bond with these cars. Like it means so much to us. And
Yeah.
not only that, I feel like it teaches us a lot.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
100%.
I could say I've learned so much
Oh, yeah.
from like driving skill, drifting,
Yeah.
mechanical
Yeah,
ability,
using your hands and brain.
Yeah.
You know, that's a big
Yeah.
one for cars.
what to do, what not to do.
I would say driving skill, but I've only driven yours a couple times, which is amazing, by the
So
way.
soon.
But yeah, soon. But you know,
Yeah.
so I hope to get it ready to maybe hit a Club Loose event in the spring. I think that would be nice. I don't know if I'll have the time to get it running that soon, but I would definitely like it running so I could at least drive it next year.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. That's my coupe plan
yeah.
as well. I really want
So-
to be able to go to Club Loose next
Yeah,
year.
yours is more realistic because it's already like a running driving car, and you just really need to
Yeah.
get a cage put in it. But,
Yeah, that's true. But I think we can both do it.
oh yeah,
I'm confident.
I'm not too worried about our abilities. It's just the time really is
Yep.
the biggest thing.
Yeah, I
But-
think that's like that's the toughest thing for all of us, especially just like, we live in New York. It's really hard to have space to work in a car. Like,
yeah.
Yeah, I'm really lucky having a shop a couple minutes from my house with my car in it.
Yeah.
But you guys, it's a struggle.
Yeah, 'cause
Yeah,
Nick-
that's
yeah.
another thing. So Nick, you live in Vineland.
Yeah, I'm in
South
South
Jersey.
South Jersey.
So
Yep.
Yeah, like you're
Open
10
farmland.
minutes from your shop. It's like I now have Hosen and I both have one-car garages in Brooklyn where we can keep our 8.6s, but it's like the garage doesn't have power. There's not
No,
really
we,
much
we
you can
can't exactly
do.
work there. It's
and
just mainly
it's too
parking.
narrow to work in.
Yeah, it's way too narrow to work.
And then
So it's like-
I don't have any room at my house, and the space that Hosen and I have is 2.5 hours upstate. I live on Long Island. He lives in Manhattan, and it's just like
yeah, so
it's
it's like
not that viable to go up there. It used to be more viable for me to go up there every weekend when I was just in school, but I didn't have money then. So
yeah, so I don't know, like
So-
a minimum of 4 hours of driving just
Yeah.
to start working.
Yeah,
on
I
the
see
car.
my car
Yeah.
every night after work
Yeah.
because I'm bored.
I
Yeah.
wish I had that luxury.
Yeah, it's
pretty
a
great.
tricky thing. New York's a horrible city to be
Yeah.
And
a
also
car owner.
the fact that for months the car has to be down because of the weather.
Hence
That
now.
that does hence now.
Yeah, even if
exactly.
it is running and you put a lot of work into it, you need to drive it on roads in Manhattan and Brooklyn. That's virtually impossible for these kinds
Yeah.
of cars.
So, but yeah, the car has a bit of a storied past for sure. It was T-boned by an F-150 at one point.
Oh my god.
That's what. Yeah, the quarter panel. It wasn't like to the point where the frame is messed up, but the quarter panel's pretty toast. But the door closes completely fine, which is it's a
That's
replacement
impressive.
door. It's a blue door on a red car, but the door closes completely fine, lines up perfectly. It's just
Wow.
it's just the quarter where the door and the quarter meet is like
Oh,
pushed
okay,
in.
yeah.
It's
So-
a door off a coupe too, because it's got
Yeah.
like, the painted pillar.
Yeah.
Where the
Oh,
window
that's
is.
amazing.
So,
Yeah.
But we have stripped out the whole interior pretty much. I just took out the headliner the last time we worked on it. While Hosen was getting it ready to like start, I was working on the interior a little bit. Took that like a headliner out and all of like the trim for the roof, everything in there except like the A-pillars I kept because we didn't need to take those out. But we did a carbon fiber sunroof panel because why not?
Oh, that's
the
great. They're
sunroof.
so
the,
cool.
the sunroof panel on that car was like this thick from like being rotted. Like it was like expanding and like, looked disgusting.
Yeah, like
so.
a 2-inch thick panel's not. What you
Yeah,
want.
so it was like sticking up like half an inch from where it should have been. So it was pretty nasty. So we did that and like it's got some Recaros in it that we bought off eBay. It's got
They're great. Your
Yeah.
interior is low key the
Yeah.
best
Yeah, very-
interior out of
low-key
all
is
of our
very
cars.
fire.
It's so cool.
I disagree because it's so bare.
It's got its
but,
own series.
but it
energy.
it has
got vibe.
All
it
of
has
all
the
the
vibe that
interiors have their own energy.
it's got the vibe that I'm
It's
trying to
real
get for
good.
it. I am a huge F40 fanboy, so I wanted to do that sort of like stripped out like red seats on a red car, like
You've succeeded. It's good.
yeah, like small Italian steering wheel and like this like just a metal shifter and like I want to do the carbon door panels and I'd love to do the string door pulls to open the car.
Oh, yeah, they're
'cause
amazing.
That it's just amazing. But I thought that was like and I really want to do the gray felt dashboard like an F40.
Oh, yeah.
So I think that,
That-
would be, I think that would
that'd
be
be pretty
I think
easy
that would
to
be
do, too.
yeah,
That's-
it's
yeah,
super
it'd be
easy.
awesome.
You could go to Michael's and do that.
Yeah,
So
seriously.
It's like I think that would be a really fun kind of nod to my favorite car. But yeah, no, it needs work, but I think it'll get there pretty soon.
Yeah,
So,
well,
and I'm in it for not very, we're in it for like not much money.
We're in
at
it
all,
for
really.
life.
We are in it.
I'm in it
we're
for life.
it for
Paying
life.
Paying with our lives.
Yeah, I've spent almost no money on these. It's just such a cheap hobby. It's crazy.
Yeah,
how
no,
cheap it is.
I'm a very my situation is quite the outlier just because we found this.
My
insane
mom
deal.
sometimes tells me I
So-
wish you picked up doing drugs instead.
So we all have these cars. They're all weird old Corollas, and I think the only reason they're still alive is because the Corolla community is so incredibly good.
Yeah.
It's some really great people who are really
Supportive
and
helpful.
just passionate about keeping these things alive.
It's like it's become such a niche classic.
It is a really
it's like
niche
it's a
classic.
really like a lot of people like. I work at a Porsche dealer, and I work with a lot of really cool people who are enthusiasts, but they don't know about this car. And when I told them it's a Corolla, they're like, a Corolla? Really? Like a Corolla? I'm like, but it's the cool one. And they still don't know. But
They're like,
when I
"What?"
explain it to them, I'm like, it's the last rear-wheel drive Corolla. It's like 5-speed manual, like inline 4, rear-wheel drive, like super light.
All the
like
good traits.
Then it starts to make more sense to them. But like I remember like one of my the service advisors at my work, she has a GTI that she like tracks, and her husband has a Boxster that he tracks. And like I told her I have a Corolla that I'm building for a track, and she's like, what? And then I showed her pictures. She's like, okay, that makes sense. But like it's just a very not a typical car for most car enthusiasts unless they know what it is.
Yeah, and it's hard to explain, but once you get it, you get it.
It's a really if
I
you
told-
know, you know kind of car.
I told Evan, if you're ever in that situation again, and if you ever want to explain what a Corolla is, you tell people it is a mix between a Miata and a DeLorean.
Yeah,
That's
Yeah,
what
that's
it
a
is.
good
that's
one.
exactly like
Yeah.
it's a Miata that looks like a DeLorean
Pretty much.
and sounds better. Definitely.
But yeah,
sounds
the
better.
Corolla community is just like it's really small and it's niche and like
Oh, it's incredible.
it's really incredible. I think one of the craziest things was Jose and I were in Hong Kong like a year and a half
Yeah.
ago, and this was a couple months after I had flipped my coupe, and that the photo of that and like the video we made its way around the internet pretty well. But we were at a classic car dealership in Hong Kong, and one of the guys that worked there has an 8.6, and I
Yeah, a
started
red
talking to
Levin.
him. Yeah, awesome red Levin. I started talking to him about my car. And as soon as I start kind of telling the story, he just gets really wide-eyed and looks at me, and he just goes, "You flipped your car." And I was like, "Oh my God, I am on the other side of the earth." And like somebody in the 8.6 community is like, "Wow, this is the one." Like it's
Yeah.
that tight-knit of a community.
Yeah.
Yep.
And we were in Hong Kong for I mean, I was there visiting for like a week, and
Yeah. And I was back for like visiting family, so.
yeah, we made like one post on Progression-D saying like, "Hey, we're gonna go to this parking lot. If you have a Corolla, bring it out and just come hang out. We kind of want to meet people."
And the guys there like spread the word and called all of their friends, and they normally meet like once a year. So the fact that they came out in January when it's really cold was freaking awesome.
It was amazing. We're in Hong Kong. I'm on like the other side of the earth where I'd never been before, and like suddenly there's like 20 dudes that come out with their 8.6s. They bring all their friends out, and it's like I'd known these people forever. It's just so hospitable and just such a crazy cool community.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you know what's
Yeah.
cool? When you think of like the production numbers of how many Corollas exist versus it's been about 34 years. What was there? 5,000 GTSs made?
It's something
like
that.
that.
Yeah.
There's not that many of them left. So everybody who does have that has one, if it's not some old lady who's had it since she bought it from the dealership, then it's somebody who went out after the car because they know the value. They know that there's people out there that love this car. So it's kind of like if there's one person in Hong Kong who buys the car, there's not too much content out there. I mean, there's podcasts, there's videos, and there's channels on YouTube that do specifically 8.6 stuff. But I mean, it's not like it's all basically in one place. I mean, you look up 8.6 and you're going to find pretty much everything and all the content that everybody makes about these cars. So everyone is going to hear about everyone. It's very tight knit. Yeah.
Yeah, there's there's a weird amount of like YouTube channels and different
Yeah.
things and accounts and just
Here and there.
Yeah, about the 8.6, and like I feel like just even in the drift community, I feel like the 8.6 community is like the tightest of the cars.
Even
Like,
the
I don't-
drift community kind of like hates us. They don't
Yeah,
hate us.
they-
They don't hate us.
Right, I feel like-
8.6 drifters like us, but all my friends with 240s say that car's not good at what it does.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're not driving. You're not in the right car. But
It's
I'm telling them
that just goes to show how close you can be to it, but still, if you don't get it, you don't get it. And I mean, maybe it's a taste thing.
Not calling out Zach. Really.
No, I'm not. I'm not looking at Zach, but
Yeah.
I can drive my friends' 240s. My friends can't drive my 8.6. You know,
Just
I
saying.
hate to say it.
I
but
can't
it's-
drive my
it's-
8.6 though, so I can't say anything.
No, you can drive your 8.6.
I
The
physically
footage-
can't drive mine.
Yeah.
yet, so-
No, the footage of Eric when he was drifting his car was good. He
Yeah.
was chucking it. He was getting good angle, good lines. It was honestly a freak accident.
Yeah, but if I'm sometimes sliding in on the tires and sometimes sliding in on the roof, then it's,
I
you
mean,
know.
it do be like that sometimes.
It really
to be
do.
completely honest.
I agree.
But one thing that I realized, which was crazy, was that I found the original like old YouTube videos of my car.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
That's amazing.
They're from like 10 or 11 years ago, and it's the same car with the stupid stripe on it. That like the car was mint. Like it looked really stock, like U.S. bumpers, stock height, stock wheels.
It was clean.
But it was red with that stripe. It was super clean, and it was in Maryland, and he was autocrossing it, and it was
I
It was,
remember seeing that.
I have
that's so
snippets of the footage
Yeah.
put into the intro
Yes,
for that series.
exactly.
Yeah, it's
and
cool.
It's such a small community that finding that was kind of nuts, but then kind of made sense at the same time.
Yeah, it's so tight knit. It's weird how
Yeah.
how much it kind of makes sense that you can find all this history.
Mm-hmm.
People really love these cars when they own them.
Yeah.
And all the communities are very unique. So us being here
Mm-hmm.
in the East Coast, the tri-state, Northeast, basically, we're also like tight knit. We know each other. Like,
Yeah.
if we have this issue, we know who to turn to, or something like that.
Yeah,
or-
there's specific people
Yeah.
you know
Exactly.
that have had this problem on their car. Considering, you know, I mean, there's groups like East Coast Toyotas, maybe 2,000 members, I think.
Yep.
And all of us almost know each other by name.
Yeah, and it's
Just from,
great
just
because
from seeing our
like,
names on posts, asking, "Hey, who had this problem? Hey, has anyone seen this before? Ask these guys. It's really amazing."
yeah, and everyone's so helpful, so willing to help each other, and
Yeah.
it's great. I remember the first year I had my car. Once it was painted, I was on the group, and they're holding the meet, well, like a cruise, and I remember I pulled up there. I knew none of them, and that day I think 21 8.6's Corollas showed up, and we've not been able to beat that number. And I was so fortunate to meet all those guys.
That's a large
and
number.
It's a
Yeah.
large number.
That's insane.
To be in one place at the same time.
yeah, and it was
Besides
yeah.
Carland 8.6.
It was in Paramus, New Jersey. It was the coldest November I remember, and it was great. And yeah, I got to meet like people like Hector or like Craig Morgan.
Oh, yeah.
Shout out Craig. He
Yeah,
helped me.
Craig,
He
he's
helped
the
me
man.
a lot.
Craig's great.
Craig helped me a lot
He was
with my car.
one of the admins on the old 4AG Club 4AG forum. So what was it? Zenki Red or something like that. I think that's his
Yeah.
Instagram.
Yeah.
Zenki.red, I believe.
Yeah, yeah.
Craig's the man.
Yeah,
he
Craig's
he
great.
helped me with my engine harness recently.
I bought
so-
my first
Yep.
pair of fenders from him.
Oh, that's awesome.
And I met up with him. I think it was me and John that went, and he showed up with his hatch. It was the first time I'd seen a hatch with ITBs. And I was like, wow, this guy's
car's
just dailying
beautiful.
his car. And my car's sitting on jack stands with a bunch of holes in it.
And his car
Um,
sits outside.
oh, it's so
too,
good.
And
Yeah,
it's like,
yeah.
so
He
nice.
keeps it so good. I feel so bad he doesn't have a garage space.
Oh,
It's
I
just-
didn't
he-
realize
yeah,
that.
he doesn't.
Wow. Oh,
Mhm.
that's right. Yeah, he has a car
Yeah,
garage.
he works in his basement
Wow.
with all his stuff. Like all of his tools are in his basement, but he has to work on it out. I feel bad.
His car is pristine.
His car's
too. It's
beautiful.
beautiful.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's just some of the hurdles that we had to face
Yeah.
in the East Coast life.
I think the 8.6 community on the East Coast, really any classic car on the East Coast,
Yeah.
we got something to prove out here.
Yeah.
It's such an uphill battle to own a
Yeah.
non-rust-proof 30-year-old car.
Yep.
Like just keeping it clean is its own
Yep.
difficult thing to
Yeah,
do. But,
yeah.
but we do it.
Uh-huh.
But out on the West Coast, they
They can drive him all year long.
they can drive them all year long.
On
but
roads we don't even have.
Yeah.
Even a little bit.
they work just as hard though, because like we have to work really hard to just keep it clean. But on the West Coast, they're like their cars are automatically going to stay clean because there's no salt on the roads. So they start making new stuff. You have Techno and you have Battleground.
Yeah.
You have all these companies that are keeping the cars alive by actually creating new parts. And
Yeah.
they have a really really cool community out there.
Yeah.
yeah.
Dan from Swang Biz doing all the bash bars and stuff. Just
Fabricating.
yeah, people fabbing stuff together. Techno. I mean,
We
yeah,
have to
mixing
source
everything.
Cars
a
on the
lot
East
of our
Coast.
stuff from the West Coast. So
Yeah.
big
Yeah.
shout out to those
Yeah,
guys.
no.
Big shout out to the guys
100%.
in Club 4AG that are all right with shipping parts.
Yeah,
Yeah,
seriously.
yeah.
Very few of you guys left, and you know you guys rule.
And I'm part of the NorCal Facebook group, the 86 Facebook
Oh,
group.
yeah, they're
And-
super tight-knit.
Oh, my, yeah, I am just siphoning parts out of that group. I feel so
Eric,
bad, but I'm so appreciative.
Who is the guy with the blue and like the two-tone blue hatch with the fine line kit on it? We were talking about it recently. I saw him.
Oh, Jacob, yeah.
I saw
Yeah.
him in Monterey when I was there for Monterey
Oh,
Car
no
Week.
way.
I
That's
saw him.
awesome.
It was the show Exotics on Cannery Row, and
Yep.
I do car photography on the side for people who don't know, just for fun. And I was there for like an exotic car event, and I'm walking back to our car, and there's just a fucking 86 in the middle. Like I rarely ever spot them just like randomly, and like I'm in the middle of this like insanity of just like cars that are like so unobtainium,
Like
and then I
classic
see that, I'm
cars.
like, oh my god,
Jacob's another one too. Like
Yeah.
he's like he was in Osaka for a while, living there. He's at Shock the Mob on Instagram, I believe, and he was tight with the Expert Oz people and put together this crazy group buy where Expert Oz would make the first run of left-hand drive floor mats for
Yep.
the 86, and I think it was like 100+ people that signed
Oh,
up
yeah.
to buy
Yeah.
mats. And
You
like,
you were in it. I was in it. I
yeah,
got some.
Yeah, Nick has some. Do you?
Yeah, I love.
I
my
don't.
full
It was
mat.
before.
Oh, you have the pizza mats. Those
Checker.
Yeah,
blue.
I don't have them yet. I'm gonna
You
get
will.
those. I want to get the Garage Moon Power Pizza floor mats.
But
I
Jacob,
bought the
Jacob
first
handled
one.
that
But yeah.
order like crazy.
Yeah,
he had
yeah.
hundreds of sets of mats.
That's
like-
quite a lot of logistics to
Yeah.
sort out.
And I don't think he was profiting off of that. I think that was just like him being the middleman for the sake
Oh,
of
yeah.
doing it because
Yeah.
he's an awesome member of the community.
You gotta love all this passion and stuff.
You know, I
Yeah.
literally saw him on the street, and I had my camera. I like took some photos.
Oh,
and I
that's
was
so
like, I
good.
was like, dude, it's so nice. I didn't get a chance to like tell him I had one or whatever.
Yeah.
Like because it was in the middle of traffic. But
Right,
I was,
of course.
I just thought it was funny how I was surrounded by so many like other insane cars, and then I saw that and I was freaking out about that.
That's so
It's
good.
just-
yeah,
it-
it's so, they're exciting, man.
They
They're
really
like-
are.
I see a lot. I see more Ferraris on the street than I see 86s.
Yeah.
like it's just they're rare.
Yeah,
it's really
it-
crazy.
Like I saw the Good Line sticker on his window, and then I
Yeah.
saw the Good Line bumper. I'm like, oh, it looks so good.
It's his car.
It's like
has a
I
lot of
love
style
that
points. It's
color
got a good
combo is
vibe.
amazing. It looks awesome. So
There's the California guys, the West Coast guys are really like doing awesome stuff. I think it was
Panic Wire out there too.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Some
Panic
power
Wire.
making everyone's cars go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Panic Wire is the reason my car works.
Yep.
Like, and also like just really wholesome. Like, did you guys see the charity event at Cafe 86?
Yeah.
Yeah,
yesterday.
yeah.
Yeah.
There's,
That's great.
there's an 86 owner in California right now that was diagnosed with cancer, and they've raised I think like $3,300
Wow.
for his recovery.
that's fantastic.
which is amazing. Dan from Swang Biz built
3 custom bash bars.
3
They're
custom
beautiful,
bash
too.
bars, and then he was also offering LSD and trans services
Yeah.
as part of the raffle.
See, that'd be
People were putting
cool
up banners.
If
and
someone took that bash bar and re-auctioned it for more charity, because I would buy it for more.
Yeah, I would
more
too,
than a
absolutely.
normal
Yeah.
bash bar. If someone was like, "Yeah, this bash bar for $600," I'd probably consider it because it's
Yeah,
so nice, and then they
it's
could
so
donate
sick.
that. That's just throwing that idea out there. So many bash bars for too much, and then donate it.
And then you go up the coast and you have the more skids dudes.
Oh yeah,
Like,
yeah.
They're crushing it too.
Hey, dude.
yeah. They just started their Patreon 2 days ago, a day
2 days ago, yeah.
Yeah.
They're brand new Patreon. I think they're up to like $2,300 a month, and
it's
they're
insane.
It's awesome.
It's
so
so
cool.
We're so happy for them because they drove all the way out here and we got to meet them and like hang out with them for a couple days. And
Eric hosted
I only got to
Great.
I only got to hang out with them for a couple hours, and
They're such.
they're
nice
just the
dudes.
nicest
They're
dude.
so
They're
rad.
They're
they're
great. They're just
fucking
real people.
hilarious, and
Yeah, they're so funny.
they
They're
don't
real
take themselves
people.
seriously at all. It's just like
I've never felt more confident in a Corolla after seeing Quentin's make
yeah.
it
Yep.
here
Yeah.
from there. And
we
back.
talked about the idea for a long time of driving out to California, and then these guys did it.
and
Yeah.
And we were like, wait, no, we didn't really think that was possible.
Yeah.
You guys, oh, okay.
Yeah, it's impressive. Like
So-
that car
I
made it
guess-
here and back.
Now it has to happen. We gotta go out there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're asking the question. They're saying when are we driving out to meet up with them? And
Yeah.
I don't think we really have any excuse anymore.
We don't
since
have
they
it.
did
No,
it.
we
Yeah.
need to,
It will happen.
The only
It's just a
excuse is
matter of
time.
when. Yeah.
because we're pretty busy people.
I got
but
those 4.7K rear springs now. I'm ready for
Yeah.
a road trip.
Oh
That-
yeah.
That's
I might
another
not. I
thing,
might
though.
not be able to do the road trip with my specific car.
We'll see, we'll
but
see.
we'll see.
Everybody needs a co-pilot.
We
But
could
yeah.
cheat and
Yeah.
tow them like maybe 2,000 miles. Just drive 1,000 miles.
Yep.
Man.
We'll green screen
Yeah.
the videos.
That,
It'll be
yeah.
fine. And I mean, the obvious one that is the most helpful person to all of us is Grant from Battle Garage.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Grant, I mean, like owns the biggest 8.6 dedicated site on the internet.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, that's another thing with how small and tight knit the community is. It's like, 2014 I started buying Battle Garage parts, and then 2016 Grant was crashing on my couch. He
Yeah.
He ate in my restaurant. That he came all the way across the country, and I fed him. That's like
I remember
He
that.
tuned your car while you guys were driving around.
He did, yes.
He helped take some of my suspension off. Like, he came out here on like a vacation and was like on the ground of the garage winching.
That was
That's
fun.
great.
He was there
were
when my
road-
Corolla burned down to the
yeah.
ground. Oh yeah. The most random thing to ever happen in my car would just be sitting there, and then all of a sudden just spark a little bit of no fire, but just smoke. Grant from Battle Garage was there to help me diagnose it,
Yep.
and we
Did you ever think it was probably Grant that set it on fire? He was really
so I could buy parts from him.
Buy my harness.
As soon as that caught on fire, he was like, "Look, that harness is on fire. we sell
boy,
new
what
ones
do
at
we
Battle Garage."
No, but it was the shop that did my swap.
Yeah, it was definitely the shop.
Yeah.
Swap.
Not gonna say what shop it was, but yeah.
Yeah.
We'll leave that undisclosed.
Yeah.
Unless you want to know, just message me at Bay86. I'll tell you everything.
But yeah,
Yeah.
East Coast community, West Coast community. I don't think there's a winner. It's so.
No,
Well,
it's
we
a
weren't-
community.
we-
It's all
we
the
weren't
same community.
comparing
We're all the
them.
We
86
more
community.
work together than more than anything.
we definitely
Yeah.
work.
No,
together.
there's zero rivalry. It's just
It's not like the drifting community in
Yeah.
general.
Yeah, where
East
they're
Coast, West
super
Coast, we get
elitist.
like the drifting community in general gets shit on a lot over
Yeah.
here because we don't have the abundance of clean cars over here. It's not completely our fault.
No,
Like,
we don't. I never
like-
ship anything to California, but I get used
Yeah.
parts from California every
That's
day.
true.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah, we need them.
like
They're great.
we get shit on a lot over here, but like we can't help it all the time. The cars get rotted so much.
Yep, and prices are going up.
Yep.
It's like they come from Japan to California. It's a little bit closer, right? They
Yeah,
they do
yeah.
stuff with them, and then we get them over here, and then we get the old ones, and they start developing new stuff. Where it's like a cycle, you
Yeah.
know? It's
Yeah,
it's
it's
supposed to get
But
there.
like, yeah, the
trash.
8.6 community is definitely
They
way
build new stuff,
way
they
more
rust it
way
out.
more wholesome than just like the drifting community or like just the enthusiast community in general.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's definitely not.
It's just so
part of the
niche, that's
drifting
why.
Community.
And-
It is its own
Yeah.
pocket.
And the other thing, I met Alan, Run Free 86, the guy
Yes.
out in California. He's a cool dude.
Yeah, he's awesome.
So he's friends with my buddy Kevin in our group of friends, Tough Club. So like when he came over, like we met up, and he was super nice. He loved the car, and it's just great.
he
meeting
was here
all
for
these
what, a
people.
week? Yeah, right.
No, I think only a couple days.
A couple days.
I'm not too sure, but
yeah, no, he was really
yeah,
cool.
we held a meet for him and all that.
Yeah.
and it was,
His
it
car's
was a lot of
amazing,
fun.
by the way. Check him out on Instagram.
Yeah.
His car's
If you don't know him already.
so cool. But
And I think the other thing with the community, I think like the thing that makes it what it is that 8.6 drivers and 8.6 owners are just trustworthy people for the most part.
Yeah.
And very.
Running Free said there's no bad people in the 8.6 world.
Yeah, that's
Like,
so true. Like,
Oh, and not to get confused, there's like the guy Alan in California is not the
No, not running.
yeah,
Yeah,
no,
not running
yeah,
free.
Yeah,
like,
run free, run
like,
free.
Yeah,
yeah,
but
it's-
yeah, like
yeah, he's
I
not
only-
Kaicho.
yeah, he's
I
not
only know all of you because we saw that the other owns an 8.6
Yeah.
and then just said like hi.
Yeah,
And then like now we've traveled around the earth together.
and we're
because
some of the
8.6
best
stuff.
friends ever.
Yeah,
Like,
it's
It
crazy.
Really is incredible.
yeah,
yeah.
It really
I'm
is.
super thankful for this community.
100%.
I wouldn't be able to do any of the 8.6 stuff without the community.
And speaking of communities, having seen the guys in Hong Kong and like very small bits of it in Japan, where you're like thinking of the idea of like traveling the world, seeing all the 8.6 communities in different places. So like,
Yeah.
you have the guys in Ireland; they're so awesome.
with all
They-
all their like rally style
Yeah.
builds that
They're
are
so
just
cool.
like, oh, we have to go.
The guys in
We have to
Malaysia.
go.
and
That's
Thailand.
what I was
Yeah,
going to say
yeah,
next.
yeah.
Malaysia looks insane.
Puerto Rico, you might
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
bash on
You
them
wanna
and
go
hate
fast,
them,
you
but
go to Puerto
they're
Rico.
freaking awesome. Like
Yeah.
They're
they
very
have the
cr-
fastest 8.6 ever.
Yeah, and they're
Simply.
also very
Pan
crafty
American
with their
countries,
cars
they
because
love
they,
it.
Yeah,
they
they
don't
are.
have the best resources,
And they
which is a
love
shame.
them,
But
too.
like, oh yeah,
They genuinely love
really
the
do.
cars.
But like, I think they don't have as many resources as people in the states,
So they
like
get a
the
bit more
mainland
creative.
United States do. So they do have to get more creative, and you see a lot more like stock looking cars from there.
Yeah.
but I feel like it's just their abundance of resources is kind of not as much as it is here.
Totally.
But like,
And they have
you
some
see so
awesome
many
rep
clean
stuff.
cars though.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, like almost all of them are like super clean.
Yeah, no, I never see like trashed out
Yeah, no.
86s coming from Puerto Rico. They're like the cleanest stock.
Unless you
Yeah.
see a picture of one like cut in half carrying 15 people. Like,
Yeah.
But
Yeah, if they're trash, there's a good reason for it.
yeah.
Yep.
But
So we've been ordering stuff from California. We always need parts. It was just Black Friday. Did anybody order stuff?
Yes, we did.
I didn't actually.
I didn't either.
Really?
I
Yeah.
should have, but I refrained because I was in the weird gray zone where I was selling my car, my STI, which I did, and I'm like trying to save money for a different car and get a daily, and yeah, so I'm kind of trying to be frugal a bit.
Yeah.
So, just trying to figure out what the hell I'm doing. I might be buying an IS300 this week, so.
Yeah, no, every
Yeah.
time a sale comes around, and if I need anything, I always try to give our buddy Grant at Battle Garage the business.
Yes.
It's great
For
to
sure.
help out. I would never order anything off eBay for my car or some stupid site that wouldn't, immediately help somebody I know. So I had to order the rear springs for my car. I really wanted them because I really want my car to stop popping around like a bunny rabbit on the highway and everywhere I go. So I ordered the 4.7K rear Swift Battle Garage collab springs.
Correct.
And
The
they are
progressive
beautiful.
springs.
Yep,
Which are so
progressive
good.
Spring rate. People are saying that it'll help me keep my power on the ground. I don't really have too much problems with wheel hop. But now that I got 4 links as well, because I just put an LSD, which I got from from Grant at Battle Garage as well. Hopefully the Heim jointed 4 links, eliminate that with the springs. And
Yeah,
I
I
also
have
got the
4.5
carbon
rears,
fiber.
and they're awesome.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, 4.5. Yeah,
Yeah, they're so good.
yeah, it's gonna be great.
Yeah,
I know. I
I-
love the way your car drives. Honestly.
Yeah, it soaks up like those little bumps that like Grant tried to make sure that those springs were able to handle. It really does it.
Good. Yeah, I'm stoked.
Still got to figure out a rear suspension situation for
Well-
my car because Hosen's gonna be rebuilding his rear suspension.
Oh,
well,
yeah.
his
Yeah.
suspension in general. So,
So
we're gonna take some parts from him.
Recently,
Yeah.
I do have blown shocks, and I was like, it's time to move on and upgrade, and it's a 21st century kind of thing. So I ended up getting a set of Fortunatos, Fortunato 500s,
True
and
coil
putting
rear.
the true coil rear ends and putting Swiss springs on them. So what I have currently, what I had was the T3 coilover set with the true rear as well. And basically all it really needs is just rear shocks because they're blown. So what I'm gonna do is replace the shocks and then donate them over to Evan's car.
Yes.
So
Amazing.
Score.
Yeah.
Hand-me-downs. I'll take them.
He needs it.
Anyone who's got hand-me-downs that they want to give, I'm open to
I
receive.
mean, yeah, that's the whole
It's a
point.
really good community.
Yeah. No.
Yeah, and if you're using a 2-piece drive shaft with your build,
Yeah.
and if you're using that and you're using the GTS rear, then just get bushed 4-link bushings
Yeah.
3 or 4. I wouldn't
Yeah.
even bother getting the adjustable one.
Yeah.
If you're running a 1-piece.
I don't want it to be too complicated.
No, yeah, keep
And
it
the car doesn't
kiss.
need to be any. Yeah. I'm not gonna probably drive it as much on the street in general because it's
Yeah.
a really stripped out car. I want to cage it. I want to use it a lot
Yeah,
on
it's
track.
miserable, for
Yeah,
sure.
it's got no sound deadening
Yep.
now, and
Like,
we
when I-
could put Dynamat and then like put the full interior back in it, but that's not really
Yeah, it's not the vibe.
Not the vibe I'm going for.
Yeah, and the thing with the T3 coilovers, like they're great on the track. They're
Yeah.
wonderful. But it's
Like, I'll
they're a bit
definitely
harsh.
I'll
on the
definitely
road.
drive it.
Yeah.
On the road, like 100%, I will.
Like, it can.
But 100%. But I don't think I'm gonna drive it like say Eric does with his car, where he tries to drive it every single nice day, which I don't blame you at all.
Yeah, I think if you watch Initial D, everybody wants to be Takumi, but I think
Yeah.
everyone's thinking of like Takumi when he's like attacking the mountain pass. I want to be
Yeah.
Takumi in the episode where he goes to the beach, just like when Takumi's cruising around.
Yep.
That's what I'm
talking
into.
with a girl in his passenger seat.
Takumi
That's
with
the
his-
ideal Takumi.
delivering to. Oh, wait a minute.
Yep,
Yeah.
no, I just want to cruise around.
Yeah.
and then the Koopa, drifting. But
And you don't want to apologize to your girlfriend sitting in the passenger seat for the bumps and stuff. You want her to
Exactly.
say, "This is
Yeah.
a really nice car, and the stereo works."
yeah, exactly. That's what I want.
You have a DVD player in your stereo.
I have found though, even though I have this DVD player and the stereo and soft suspension, nothing makes up for the fact the car doesn't have airbags. So
that's
yeah.
that's still a
Yeah.
kind of a factor.
Battle
in
Garage,
my
if you're listening, can you
weekend trips.
develop some kind of aftermarket airbag system for people like
not
Eric?
with Takata though. Not
Not
with
Takata.
Takata.
Yeah, not
Oh,
with
dear.
Takata, but yeah, if the community can rally together and get me some airbags, so my girlfriend's
Just,
happy to go on long road trips in the car, that'd be
Get
sick.
AE111 airbags. Just be like an upgrade.
Like a full dash swap from an AE111.
Oh yeah, my 86 is bagged. No, airbag. Yeah.
Yep.
All right, so you got rear springs on Black Friday. You got carbon fiber headlight covers.
Headlight covers from
Ooh.
Retrospect. They had a pretty good sale going on, and the only reason it was possible was because my friend Eric happened to purchase something as well. So we just included them in there with shipping because they're coming from the Dominican Republic, I believe. So the shipping was a little intense. It kind of almost persuaded me from not buying them.
But yeah, he tossed them in my order. I got some side skirts. I got what else did I buy? I might have gotten the carbon fiber.
Did you get the
wiper cowl? I think I got.
Oh, you got the wiper cowl.
I think I got
Did
the
you get
wiper
rain
cowl.
guards too?
Yeah, I got the rain
You got
guards.
the rain
as well.
guards,
So
yeah.
I'm kind of doing the last.
Their stuff is incredible. The fact
it's
that he
so
makes
good.
a carbon fiber dash for barely $500,
Yeah,
that's
that's crazy
unreal.
to me. And you have the
pretty sick.
Retrospect door cards.
I had
right?
the
You
door
have
cards. I had
Those
the
are
wiper.
Those are the door
So
cards are what I
cool.
want to do. 100%.
I have the rain guards. What else do I have from them? I have quite a lot of things.
He's great. He does some really cool. You have the lip. Isn't your cars
Yes.
the photo on the Retrospect
Exactly,
website?
because I was the one that brought up the idea, and I sent him a regular lip to have him mold into to get the molding out of.
Oh, that's awesome. I didn't realize you were
so
the one that did
I had
that.
the first set of the carbon lips.
I talked about doing that with the hatch wing with him. I still because I was trying to
Ooh,
find
yeah.
somebody to just like not the TRD wing, but the the OEM hatch
Yep.
wing. I was trying to
Yep.
find someone to send theirs to him so I could get a carbon fiber one, but just couldn't get anybody to do it. So I ended up
Yeah.
getting an OEM one. But I might just send mine so that he has a
Yeah,
mold
take one for the team kind of
yeah,
thing.
for everybody
Yeah.
else. That
And
needs
he's
one.
willing to like make a deal. You know, if you send in a part for him to develop, he'll give you a big discount.
Oh, yeah.
for the finished
Worth it.
product. Yeah.
So that was kind of Black Friday. I bought that stuff, and then I did Techno Toy tuning stuff for the coupe. I did some of the like super basic stuff I need for the coupe, stuff for the manual rack, like the intermediate shaft, and then I did like the bushings for that. Shifter rebuild bushings. I did like some stainless brake lines and clutch line and stuff.
All the good stuff.
Yeah, new wheel
Yeah.
hub for like steering hub. Yeah, pretty basic stuff.
Techno
But
toy tuning is great. Just
Techno
gonna
is
say.
great.
I've been
Yeah.
buying stuff for them for years.
I-
All the suspension.
I
on my
love
car
how
is
big
Techno.
they've become and how like there was a parts catalog like magazine in Japan and they had their parts on it. And
Oh, that's amazing.
It's all
That's
described it in Japanese. I was like, oh, that's so cool.
I remember
they made it that big.
I remember the first time I saw Techno Toy Tuning. I was like, "This website's amazing." And I was talking to my friend who had a Miata. I was like, "Do you shop on this site? It's so good." And he was like, "I didn't really have anything for me."
Yeah.
And then I started going to the other cars, and I'm like, "Oh, this is like
Yes.
an 8.6 website. We are
Yeah.
hyper
I know
lucky to have
all my
this."
friends with 240s break tie rod ends like it's nobody's business. My tie rod ends have seen so much abuse going off track, hitting curbs and stuff, and my car is still so straight. If they
Yeah,
made the
yeah.
tie rod ends that I have for my car for 240s, I don't know if they do that or not yet. My
Come-
friend Zach would never break one again.
Yeah, I've
Come
never,
to think about it, I've only done an alignment probably like twice
Yeah.
on my car ever.
I've only done it like two or three times because Zach has the alignment rack, so I have it there to do it myself and play with it and stuff.
But yeah,
But
I haven't
other than that,
touched
I
an
don't really
alignment in
need to
like
touch
a
it
couple
ever.
years.
Yeah.
So
I've never heard of anybody complain about a T3 part. Techno's stuff just.
I was going to
is
touch
built
on
to
that.
last.
I have a couple friends, I'm not going to name them, that do say T3 stuff is dumb, and I'm like, there's no reasoning behind
That's
that. I'm not
crazy.
calling any
Yeah,
of you
that's-
guys
there
out,
is
but
no
you know who
reasoning.
you are.
The only problem that I've had with a T3 thing is that the seat rail, like we have the seat brackets in my car.
Oh, yeah.
It blocks the
the hatch release.
the hatch release and the gas door release. So
Oh,
we gotta
okay.
like notch it a little bit.
Wait, what is that? I'm sorry, I missed.
The
Seat rail?
T3 seat
Yeah, I
rails.
hate my seat.
The
my seat-
fixed
That's what I
ones,
do
yeah.
hate about
So,
T3.
the-
Their seat rails. Mine destroyed on me.
But they're pretty good. They
Totally
sent you a
bad.
new one pretty
Their
quick.
customer service is great. You can't
Mine are-
get around that.
I haven't obviously driven the car yet.
It's gonna break.
but-
You're gonna break them. They're gonna bend in. I promise you.
But oh, lovely.
I promise.
But,
Yeah, it'll be perfect.
But yeah, we just got to notch like the corner of it. So at the moment, I took the gas door off completely. So
Yours might be a fluke, Nick, because I haven't
the-
heard that from other
yeah.
T3 seat rail
well, I
people.
took my rear end bounced up and then came down, and I'm about 185 pounds or so. What it really did when it bent, it also broke the mount on the floor pan itself.
Oh,
okay.
for the seat. But
so
the,
that was
the
probably
whole,
a pretty big hit.
Yeah, it seems pretty
was-
isolated.
I dirt dropped and the rear end bounced and went like, boop, just like one end up and then the other end down. But when
Yep.
it came back down, when it came back down was when when I didn't even realize it. It's not like a big deal. It's still kind of bent actually. But they sent me a new one. That was really great of them. But it's the same design. He said we sent you a thicker one. The thickness is exactly the same.
Maybe interior stuff. There's still some work to do, but at least all their suspension stuff.
Oh, yeah.
it's
Oh, yeah.
pretty well
Yeah.
developed.
Yeah. Amazing.
It's really similar to the Street Faction engineering seat rail. Like looks almost the same, but I don't know if they use the same materials.
It's nice
or
that they're
not.
expanding to other cars as well, like the S30.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they have a lot of
Oh, yeah.
awesome S30 parts.
Yeah.
They did like I think they supplied everything for the Mighty Car Mods.
Yes.
240Z,
that was
which is
cool.
awesome.
But no,
No.
other than that, that's the only complaint I've ever heard from a T3 product.
Yeah, that's the only
So,
complaint I've got. Everything else I love.
everything is
Yeah, I've never had an issue. They're
and all
great.
of the stuff is really decently priced too.
Yeah, it is.
Oh,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
beautiful.
It's like
the fact that you can get 2 front hubs, bearings packed for less than $500, titanium. That's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
That's really great stuff.
Yeah, it's cool.
And I remember the old hot version USA video where Tsuchiya drove one of his demo cars. This is like way back, and he loved it.
yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I
It's
have
in,
I have that volume of
American
shop,
Toge.
actually.
Yeah,
One,
yeah,
two,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were at Horse
that's-
Thief
that's
Mile, I
cool.
believe,
Yes,
or Willow
yeah.
Springs.
Oh, the video
yeah.
is so good.
We got to drive that track someday.
Oh my goodness.
We absolutely will.
Horse Thief's amazing.
All right.
So this is our first podcast. This has been cool.
This
We're,
is too much fun.
Yeah, we're
It's a lot
We
easier
can
than I
literally
thought it'd
talk
be.
about stuff for hours.
Yeah, we could probably go a couple another hours, but that's
Yeah.
not a good idea.
yeah. I feel like this is kind of a normal conversation span when we hang out, but this time we just decided to record it. And it's crazy that like I didn't even know like how you got into 8.6s. I guess I never asked. I guess we just jumped right into
I'm
it.
sure we talked. I'm sure I gave. Like, I don't think I ever mentioned the calendar and stuff, but I know it basically was Initial D. But I knew about the car. I knew about cars way before I knew about the anime. So
Yeah, it's nice to know about
but
this
it's
stuff.
cool. Yeah, it's definitely fun.
But yeah, we have more episodes planned. We're gonna talk about some trips we've made, some 8.6 stuff we've done, 8.6 stuff we have coming up in the future. Next episode, we're gonna talk about a trip to Japan that we've been planning for 2019. It's gonna
coming
be
up
good.
soon.
Coming
Like-
up real soon.
Like 3
Yep.
months from now.
So
And who knows? We might even have an episode recorded there too.
Yeah.
yeah, I think that'd be a good plan. I
Yeah.
really would like to make that happen.
That'd be
For a
fun.
good response.
So thank you guys for listening. I hope you made it this far. We appreciate you guys sticking with us. Check out the YouTube channel if you're listening on wherever we host this. But yeah, check out the YouTube channel.
That's ProgressionD.
ProgressionD. We're going to keep updating you guys on our builds. I will get Vlog 5 out for everyone who's asking. It's going to
Including us.
Really?
Yeah, including you guys.
forgot
Yeah.
about
So
that
exciting.
We're almost there.
But
So-
also, if you guys have any suggestions for topics
Oh,
we should
yeah,
talk
yeah.
about, leave them wherever we're going to post this.
Yeah, comment.
Leave, comment.
Do the thing. But yeah, comment, like, subscribe.
Any
do all those
constructive
things
criticism, too. We're open to it. So.
Yeah. And
Roast
yeah.
me if you want. I love it.
Roast me, fam.
You can follow us on Instagram. I'm Progression Drift.
I am outrun.86.
I am Bay86.
I am at Evan Lerner.
So thank you guys so much, and we will talk to you soon.
Arigato. ございます。